Hey guys, welcome back. I want to talk a little bit today about the trifecta of this Isis, Ra, and El, which is Saturn. But first, let's discuss a little bit about, I guess, the Saturn-Moon matrix, right? And how both of these tie in together. So, at some point, this was more than likely some sort of paradise, but it was kind of a gate-kept paradise in a sense, right? We've all heard the story of the Garden of Eden, right? And there's some symbolism regarding the etymology of that, or the way the words sound, actually, as in guarding of Eden, eaten, or eating, right? So guarding the eating, potentially, because the Pistis Sophia, or the Gnostic story, describes the Garden of Eden as being a playground for the archons, more than likely, right? It was what happened after the creation, after Sophia's creation, and these archons kind of woke up to themselves and created or multiplied, created copies of each other, let's say. But nevertheless, we have the story of Adam and Eve kind of being the first organic beings here, with the energy of source within them, or the energy of Sophia within them as well. And what happened is, the Bible describes it as the serpent, or Lucifer, or Satan, or I don't know exactly what the Bible considers the serpent. I think it's Satan the serpent. But the Gnostics describe it as Sophia, or as Lucifer. So here's my interpretation of potentially what happened. Now, based on archaic research, we know that the Earth had a much more temperate climate, worldwide, let's say. And by temperate, I mean it was rather warm everywhere. There was no winter. Storms were not as prevalent. Okay, it seemed more like a paradise, let's say. Okay, but then what happened was there was an introduction, a point in time where the moon was introduced, and this apparently had collapsed the vapor canopy. Okay, the vapor canopy was what was holding the whole system together, the whole weather system, the whole climate. And what the moon then did was affected the waters. It's a celestial body, potentially an artificial one, that is affecting energetically the water. And since we're all made of water, everything here pretty much is made of water. Water, matter, maternal, these are all connected to feminine. That kind of imposed on that energetic frequency. And a lot of people don't notice, but actually back in the day, women were able to control their cycles. They were able to control when they wanted to have a baby, kind of like birth control we have now, except it wasn't through this exterior technology that hurts us. It was through their own innate ability of producing hormones on desire. So what happened with that is that the moon was introduced. Now, if you may have seen some of my posts or some of my other videos, you know that I consider Lucifer to be the moon. And here's why. Lucifer, or the moon rather, the Akkadian god for the moon is called sin. We know sin from the Bible. We know sin as sine, the sine wave of time as well, right? So the moon has an impact on our time cycles, alluding back to Father Time. Now, at the time of, let's say, the archons, it is said that Yahweh, that archon, was essentially the leader of that paradise, of the earth experiment, let's call it. Okay? And if Yahweh was in control of that, we then only had the Saturn matrix. But now all of a sudden we have the Saturn-Moon matrix. So considering these two stories of the Gnostics and the Christian version, which I think are both interfered with, right? Are both edited, are both messed with or tweaked just a little bit to get a different narrative out, right? And this being, the serpent being, which looks like sign, which looks like sin, was introduced, then in my opinion, Lucifer was this moon being. Lucifer was the one that introduced Adam and Eve into sin, into sign, into the knowledge of good, the upper portion of the sine wave, and evil, the bottom portion of the sine wave. As above, so below. And that has many meanings, not just sine. So then you take that wave, right, that looks like time in a sense, that infinity, and you compress that, and you get the infinity symbol, which is the 8 on its side. Now the 8 on its side is also depicted as the Ouroboros, or the twisted circle, right? If you take a circle and you twist it, you get an 8. If you take a 0 and you twist it, you get an 8. Now that 8 is very prevalent. If you watched my recent decode of 1899, they say the simulation is on repeat for 8 days. Now this may not be our 8 days, this may be their 8 days, because in the higher levels of the matrix, time runs quicker. Yet there is still time, notice. And who controls time? Well, Father Time, right? As in the Father God, the Heavenly Father, Saturn. And now all of a sudden we have a Saturn-Moon matrix in which these Saturnian codes, which Saturn was potentially a higher frequency planet, kind of like our sun, yet it fell. There's such a time known in the Masonic calendar as the Hiram Abiff, and they worship this time. It's called actually the Year of the Light, and that was about 4,000 years ago in the age of Taurus. And there's a connection to Hiram Abiff. I don't know if it's an actual person or if it's just considered an allegory for that age, but it's meant to represent a black eye, because it's not really the year of the light, it's the year of no light, as in the light of the sun got taken out. Because what we potentially exist in is this trifecta of suns, of stars, with the sun, the old sun, Saturn, and Sirius, right? And we see all over the universe that we have a binary system. That's what they say. They only tell us it's a binary system. Binary is binary code, which I don't think to be organic. That's alluding to Vesca Pisces. Vesca Pisces is alluding to flower of life. These are all parasitical codes. Fibonacci, phi based on Fibonacci, also parasitical. And then we have Sophia. So these are questions that are that pop up in my head, and I need to address them, because like, hey, if Sophia is connected to phi, which is connected to Fibonacci, the fib of no chi, and these are parasitical codes that are just feeding on top of each other, or feeding on one another, just like the systems we have here, then it's worth questioning. Everything really is worth questioning it, because the more we eliminate the false is when we get to the true, right? The truth within. So that being said, I forgot where I was going with this. Well, let's get back to the 8 days. The 8 days simulation, that then ties us to Venus. Now, I've followed some of Ola Wolny's work, and if you haven't seen anything about her, heard about her, check her out. She's on YouTube. She does a bunch of interviews. She has her own channel, but doesn't post anything because she doesn't have time, I guess. But I hope to have her on the channel soon. And she was talking about how the moon is actually a copy of Venus. So the moon has 13 cycles in its year, so 13 moons, and that is a copy of Venus's 13 years that it completes a cycle with the Earth. And the matrix, if you decode the word, it'll come out to 85 in English, and that's 13. The moon heavily influences this place, and it heavily creates, let's say, another matrix for us to kind of climb out of, right? Yet it is a sort of copy of Venus as well, because of this 13 cycles. What happens with Venus is that for 8 of our years, and 13 of its years, a pentagram is created through the conjunctions. So that means the Earth and Venus will come together at one point in space or whatever, and then I forgot, what is it, 13 divided by 8 years, I think, or something like that. 1.25 years, every 1.25 years, I think. Another one happens, and then another one happens at a different point, and then another one, and another one, and if you connect the dots in order of conjunction, you get a pentagram, right? So then we have another illusion of 13-8, and if you've followed my work, you know that Ouroboros in English gematria is equal to 138. If you followed Archaix's work, you know that the matrix potentially resets every 138 years. Is it every 138 years? Is it maybe something else? I don't know, but the symbolism is there, 13-8. If you know the year America was founded, 1776, 1 plus 7, 8, 7 plus 6, 13. There's that 8, 13, 138, same thing. If you add them together, 8 plus 13 is 21. 21 is equal to Saturn in both English and Chaldean gematria. So there is something going on with this. Now, the fact that Venus, Ola, her belief is that Venus is the true divine feminine, and Venus is a way out of this matrix, actually, and it's been helping us, but it was trapped by the archons in the planetary zodiac, in the planetary system. And I can tend to agree with her on that regard, but what bothers me is this 138 connection, because it connects back to the demiurge. So it could be a form of false light, because then we have these other connections that I started with at the beginning of the video, right? In Egyptian mythology, we have the idea that there was this trifecta of Osiris, Horus, and Isis, right? Similar to the Trinity, the Holy Trinity that they have in Christianity, because a lot of Christianity is just plagiarized ancient Egyptianism, ancient Kemet mythology, let's say, or stories. So then we have, based on that, we have the Israel, right? The Isis Ra-El. Now in this Egyptian mythology, they connect El to Saturn, Ra to the sun, which I believe the sun was affected in some way. It was kind of thrown off its natural cycle, or the earth was thrown out its natural cycle with the sun, and instead of 360 days, we have 365 days. Thank you to my man Steven, who commented on my last video that 365 divided by 360 is 1.138. Again, that 138 number, right? So there's an issue there again. Whereas Isis, people think Isis represents Venus, really, but not according to this ancient Egyptology. Isis represents the moon, and I've linked Lucifer to Isis as well, because Lucifer is actually linked to Jesus. Not Jesus, the one we may know as Jesus, but kind of like a plagiarism of Jesus. And they're both equal to each other in gematria, 74, 74. Jesus was also known as Jesus, or Isis. You see the connection now? And with Isis being the moon, and Lucifer being the moon, based on my other connections, that would make some sense, right? That would allude to the fact that Isis is actually some sort of male, or Lucifer some sort of female. And then we have the dark masculine as well that the moon has brought. So in a sense, it's this dark feminine, dark masculine that are being projected onto the earth with these negative energies, right? We know of the 666 frequency from Saturn that is projected here and all that. So again, it's a system of control. Gurdjieff said that, you know, we're all food for the moon. And I don't know if he knew the depths to what he was talking about, but I think he did, whether it was metaphorically speaking or not. But I believe there's a lot of truth to that statement. Now, Isis connects to Ishtar, connects to Ashtar, right? We've heard of Commander Ashtar. Connects to Ashtaroth, which is a being, a demon, a male demon. And you can find that in that video game as well, Deus Machina, or Deus Ex Machina, where it kind of alludes to Elon Musk, like merging with AI and saving the world. But in the meantime, he's like fighting these elite Illuminati families and all that. But you know, there's that connection there, and that's something to think about, because that would make a lot of sense. But again, if Isis does truly connect to Venus, then we have, you know, some sort of something being lost in the translation as well. And there's a point of question there as well. But the funny thing is, in the book Law of One, which I've also kind of said is a deceptive material, and you can watch that video as well, it's on my channel. It says, the title is The Law of One, a deceptive material. Literally, that's the title. They say in that book that they actually emanated from Venus. And we know, with the pyramids being a negative intended structure for the purpose of harvesting, if these beings were from Venus and they had this negative intent and they had connections to Orion, again, another issue arises, right? So, you know, that's why I try to do this. I try to make these connections so that we can remove the fake and see what's left, what's real, what's truthful, and what's really being just projected upon us for the purpose of getting us to worship false idols, or, you know, give our power away, right? Everything really is about taking your power back and realizing these things, realizing, oh, the moon's not there to help me, the moon's there to suck my energy, will then get you to think, oh, maybe I shouldn't be out and about during full moons, maybe I shouldn't be charging my crystals during full moons, maybe I shouldn't be doing these moon rituals kind of like they do. Although it could help to change the energy if, like, we all did it, in a sense, if all of humanity, let's say, was that powerful, got together and threw good energy at it. But the thing is, people don't know that, and they're just tapping into its energy, and in a sense, it's taking that energy from them. Oh, that was loud. I don't know if you guys heard that. But so that's something to become aware of, right? And it's something to question. But that is that Saturn-Moon matrix that is happening here. That moon potentially is acting like a projector of Saturn, and, you know, amplifying the codes being given to us here from that negative fallen state that Saturn now is in. And you know, we have the example of the Truman Show, in which the whole show was being run from the moon. And what was his name? What was the director's name? It was Christoph, or of Christ. Of Christ. If we tie Christ back to the Saturn symbolism, Christ was crucified on a cross. A cross is an open cube. An open cube, when you close it, is the cube, right? The hypercube of Saturn. Now, was this some kind of mockery? Were they telling us the truth? I don't know. That's open to analysis, debate, questioning, right? So let me know what you think in the comments. Give it a like if you like this video, and subscribe for more content. I'll be going into some more details, more videos I have planned out soon, and hope to get some more guests on the channel as well to detail their experiences, and for us to piece more puzzles, piece more pieces of the puzzle together. All right, I'll see you guys next time.